Welcome to the Rob and Benny experiment. And Natalie, do you remember the old school Batman TV show, the 1960s?
Boom! Boom! You know, if you replace Batman with Jeff Johns, it still works.
Remember the intro whenever they would have a guest? Mm-hmm. It'd be like, na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and it'd show Batman and Robin running at the screen.
Yeah.
And then whenever the Batgirl would show up, they'd have an extra little scene throw on, and you see her riding in on her motorcycle. Mm-hmm. That's Natalie. She's riding in on her motorcycle right now.
Jeff Johns!
This is the weekly show that Rob and I bring to you, except when we take breaks off because of the holidays, which, you know, it's the holidays. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why you guys assumed we ended it.
Yeah,
because it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's Christmas, man. Go open presents.
Maybe that's their present.
This is their present.
Yeah.
This is our present to you.
Oh, God. Jesus. Whoa.
Anyway. Today we're going to talk about a big shakeup that happened in the DC comic book movie-centric thing.
DC Cinematic Universe.
Right. And, of course, you have Rob, who's pretty much our giant Marvel expert. I'm our big DC expert. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to get Natalie in here because Natalie just watches the movies and reads Batman.
Yes.
She is your casual moviegoer.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. She is the one who doesn't know the crazy lore, isn't going to tell you the most amazing plot for a movie that only we would understand. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because you and I have a tendency to do that. You know, it'd be amazing if they did the whole Superboy Prime reality punch.
Tower of Babel, man. Make it a movie. Natalie's just like, what's Tower of Babel?
See, yours is normal. I was going with
like
bringing
that.
Superboy Prime and reality punch everything the way we want.
There we go. Yeah, that's how you fix it. That's how you reboot. Superboy Prime punches reality, and then he leaves, and you never find out who he was. And that's it.
This young Superman shows up and punches the wall.
Bam!
And then leaves.
Yeah, reboot punch, and then just like... and just take off.
And he says it like that. See, this is the look the casual moviegoer would give if the next DCEU movie started with Superboy Prime coming in going, reboot punch.
Oh, remember that scene from Jaws 3? You saw Jaws 3, right?
No.
In the amusement park?
She's so confused.
I really am right now.
Rob, I don't think anybody has seen Jaws 3. I didn't even know there was a 3. I know 1 and 2.
Yes, okay. There's a scene from Jaws 3. It was supposed to be in 3D. There's this terrible scene where the shark comes swimming up to the underground or the underwater facility, whatever it is, and it swims through the window and shatters it.
Right.
And obviously it was supposed to look like it was 3D. I want to see that, but with like Superboy Prime. Just like really crappy CGI, and he's just like, bam, you know, and then he's just gone.
So if you're wondering what we're talking about, WB has come out and stated that there is going to be a shakeup as to how they're handling the DCEU. Mm-hmm. Justice League has finally made back its money, but I believe that's all it did.
It broke even.
Yeah.
Kind of.
They didn't make any money off of that movie. From all the speculation and everything, they believe that we just covered enough for the marketing campaign and stuff like that. So they have officially said, at this point, most of the people have left anyway. I think that a lot of people just kind of up and left, and I have a feeling it was kind of one of those situations of, Rob, this isn't working.
No, that's not what it was.
I think you need to step down over the next week or two.
Oh, yeah.
Or we may have to take more immediate action.
Yeah. Either you can leave willingly or you can be fired. So like that's exactly
that's what I think went down.
I thought you were talking about like Ben Affleck. I was like, no, Ben Affleck looked around. He's like, this is going nowhere fast, and he bailed. That's exactly what that is.
So basically, they've come up and they've said that. I mean, it's not a secret. The DCEU is having problems.
Yeah,
it's not. Okay, the movies are not doing well. It's a much darker tone than you would expect from a DC.
Wonder Woman did well, right?
Wonder Woman was the only one, though, is the problem.
Right.
That's the only one.
It's the only one that matters, really.
No, that's exactly it. I mean, like, okay, say for example, like if I come to you and I say, Natalie, give me the top 4 DC movies so far.
Right.
Give me like your top. Or no, I think we've had 4. So
we've only had 5.
We had 5. Okay, so like give me your top 3 choices for the DC Cinematic Universe.
Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. I would go with Justice League because I don't remember anything else.
That's the problem. No, that's literally it.
No, second one, Man of Steel.
No, but that's literally it. They're not memorable films.
And then Suicide Squad was pretty good too.
No, I didn't like Suicide Squad at all.
I thought it was okay, but once again,
that's where you're wrong, and let me tell you why you're wrong.
At the very end, no, the only thing that kind of bothered me was at the very end when there was a fight scene with Enchantress.
Yeah.
And it was all over the place. I couldn't see what was going on.
That's part of the problem. Anyway, those issues aside, with the previous 5, it's known that the DCEU is having problems. Mm-hmm. They tried to jump into an idea, and I'm not even going to lie. Their idea of starting basically with the Justice League, I feel like could have worked. But I feel like combining that with the tonal shift in direction that Zack Snyder wanted, not going to work.
No.
Because you're trying... Justice League the movie, in my opinion, could have worked if it was just based on what everyone knew from the Justice League Unlimited. I'm not saying carbon copy, but that is the most recognizable version to your mass populace of the Justice League. That cartoon from the 2005 era.
It is Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
So I don't know why Zack Snyder's whole vision of a darker, grittier, like this was darker than Dark Knight Returns. He Strikes Again. Anyway, I feel like that was the core problem with it, though, on top of just rushing everything. So instead of getting solid scripts and movies like we did with Wonder Woman, we got, let's do Batman v Superman, because that name will sell.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let me ask you this question. When you think of a Batman movie, what do you think of? Just like a tone for the film.
Oh, super dark.
Exactly. And that's how these movies came across in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like you go see Justice League, and it feels like
a Batman movie.
It feels like a Batman movie. Like it feels like it's dark. It feels like it's almost hopeless. That kind of a thing. Like, man, dude, like things are really, really crappy.
Well, see, and that's the problem, because Batman is the dark and gritty character. Superman's the hope. He's literally the yin to the yang of the character of Batman. And then Wonder Woman is the yin yang in the middle. I don't. But like they all have their different tone. And the problem is Zack Snyder was just doing them all the same. Yeah. Man of Steel was basically a dark version of Batman. I'm not saying Man of Steel was completely horrible, but it's not the Superman that you would expect to start a universe.
Yeah, it's not the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, that's just it. Like,
so then the question becomes this. All right, so DC comes to Natalie, and they come to Rob, and they come to Benny, and they say, we want you guys to give us, your vision on how you restart the DC Cinematic Universe.
Right. Well, real quick,
what's the
reason why? So everyone stepped down, and Warner Brothers said, as of the new year, they are giving a new lineup, and they are doing this right, and they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
So now this entirely, no one knows what's happening. They're reshuffling everything. Are we getting single movies? Are we getting Justice League movies? Are we getting cross-continuity movies? That's what we want to talk about today, like Rob just said. Mm-hmm. How would we do it?
Yes.
So we'll give you time to think about it.
Yes, please.
You're not the subject matter expert here.
No. Here's the deal. I assume you've seen a lot of, you've seen all the Marvel movies.
Yes.
All right. So take that into consideration. Like, you don't have to worry about the comics so much. Just take that into because you know who Batman is, you know who Superman is, they're iconic characters.
Yeah.
You know who Wonder Woman is just by extension of the film. So literally just take everything you've seen in a movie universe and just run with it and just kind of see what you come up with from there.
But I feel like the Marvel movies, they've always been dark as well. Kind of.
I mean, to a degree.
But they're still Disneyfied. They're bright, they're happier. They also follow a formula, the witty jokes and things like that. Right.
But the
formula is kind of growing old.
If you think about this, Thor Ragnarok was a very he loses his eye. The Hulk's been ripped away from Earth.
But that was something that you complained about. You said that he should be feeling something different.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like what I'm saying is they all follow that formula. So even in a dark movie like Thor Ragnarok, which should be dark, we've got Thor cracking jokes.
Yeah.
I lost my eye, but you know what? I still got one good one to see ya.
I mean, it was a buddy cop film.
Yeah.
So.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, and that's what Marvel does. They have this formula they always follow, even if they change up what the movie's structure is. You always have hero is amazing. Hero falls down the pit. Hero then has to come back up. They go with a standard movie plot, and they have he will crack joke here. He will crack joke here. Give us this catchphrase. Throw this merchandise in. You know what I mean? They follow that formula, every single one.
Right.
Yeah.
And DC just seemed to throw it at a wall.
Yeah. Just see what works.
That's only because they haven't really established other characters besides Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman.
Right, and that's one thing they could have done.
They just threw them all into that one movie, Justice League, and they didn't have the time to establish all of these other characters.
Right, well, actually, it's funny if you read the articles. The only triumph that apparently they're toting as coming out of Justice League is the world is aware of Aquaman and Flash now. So apparently those movies are going forward as intended because apparently the world wants those movies now is what WB is saying. But if you have your movie with your biggest characters in your universe popping in and you walk out going, well, people know who they are now.
Yeah. I never thought I'd see the day where people were just like, dude, I can't wait to see more Aquaman. It's like, dude, it's Aquaman, dude. The guy talks to fish. No one's cared about him for 50 years. And now he's just the greatest thing ever.
Because Jason Momoa, I guess.
Jason Momoa made him pretty badass.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so here's the deal. So
what do you got? Well, so that's today. We are rebooting the universe. It's going to be a shorter episode than usual because it's the holidays and we got stuff going on. But we are going to reboot the universe. So Rob.
Okay. So one thing to bear in mind is all the superheroes in DC, the core, you can basically call them the Justice League members. All right. They all, in some form or fashion, are templates for every other character who's ever existed in comic books. Superman is a template for almost everybody else. They all base off their own things. But each character has a aspect of them that makes them unique. For example, Green Lantern is a space explorer. The Flash is the funny guy who's got some, kooky villains. Superman is the hero. Batman's just like, all hope is lost. Wonder Woman is like, let's just fight until the bitter end, so on and so forth. Cyborg's a security guard. So, because of all this...
Sadly, he is in the comics.
He's a security guard.
He looks so badass in the Justice League.
He does.
In the movie, he kind of was too, though. Like, I'm gonna get us in the safe. You guys go block me.
Yeah, he's tech support.
He's tech support.
But he's the reason why they won, though. Right?
He always is, though. That's the funniest thing. Like, even in the latest DC Metal fight, Cyborg's the one that wins the day, but he didn't do anything until then.
He saves the Watchtower, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird, yeah.
Oh.
He always shows up at the very end of, like, the fight. I'm here to save everyone.
Yeah.
I've been watching the fight the whole time.
Yeah, I've just been waiting for someone to take me off the bench. But no, okay, so because each characters are distinctive, I would literally grab stories from across the DC history. The first thing I would do for Batman is I would grab World's Greatest Superheroes, Batman's War on Crime. So Paul Dini, the guy who made Batman the Animated Series, and Alex Ross, one of the greatest artists of all time, came together and wrote like an oversized, super short story where it's just called Batman, the War on Crime. And instead of it being like Batman's fighting the Joker and Batman's doing all this crazy stuff, it's about a kid whose parents are, like, they're killed, and there's something that happens anyway. His parents were killed in a lot of the same ways as Bruce Wayne's parents were killed. And basically, it follows this kid. And it's basically, there comes to a point where Bruce Wayne breaks up this, like, robbery or some kind of drug running or something, whatever. The kid turns around and pulls a gun on him. And so he was like, dude, guns killed both our parents. Don't let guns be the thing that kills you. And so, but the whole idea is it's not a traditional Batman story. It's kind of Batman hopeful to a degree, but it talks about how he uses fear, different things like that. But it's a beautifully told comic because it shows the humanity of Batman. And that's what I would use. People need to see Batman as human, but they also need to see that Batman uses fear in order to, achieve his goals. So you need to walk out of the movie understanding who Batman is while simultaneously knowing a sniper on a rooftop, knowing the idea of Batman means Bruce Wayne's gone, and that's just all there is to it. And that, like, people need to have that feeling. For Superman, I would do Jeff Johns' Secret Origin. It's a 7-issue miniseries where he basically retold the origin story of Superman, grabbing all this information and bringing it all together. But it's a hopeful story. It's a bright story. Like, it makes you feel good when you read Superman. So it's like, all right, cool. Wonder Woman, I would keep that movie. I wouldn't change anything with the Wonder Woman film.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I would keep it. And nobody else has really been fleshed out. I mean, that's it. Barry Allen, I mean, honestly, I would bring in Eobard Thawne for the Flash film. Like, I would.
That's the part. I agree with that to an extent. So you know the Flash, right?
Yes.
You know the Reverse Flash, right?
Yes.
Do you know any other villain of the Flashes?
The
Gorilla Grodd.
that what he just said.
The gorilla guy?
No, you gotta say Gorilla Grodd.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure people would have seen, heard you.
No, they wouldn't hear me.
Yeah, Gorilla Grodd.
Okay. But what I'm saying is the Flash doesn't have any crazy villains.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the Rogues.
But they're not crazy. They've had very few times where they've been successful in anything.
Also, the Rogues you only know if you read the comics.
And the Dark Flash as well, I think.
The Black Flash?
Yes, Black Flash.
Death. That would be the sequel for me.
Death?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Flash outraces Death. I've been outrunning Death for 20 years, guys.
That's literally a plot.
Really?
Yeah, he's outruns Death for 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
I would do that. I would take Eobard Thawne because he's the most recognizable villain, be it because of the TV show, be it because of whatever. Make him the villain itself. Make a movie about that and just explore the Speed Force concepts and the fact that he's fast and all this stuff. Not go crazy. Don't go comic booky on it.
No, you do Flash Rebirth.
That's what I mean. Like that kind of a thing where you explain what the Speed Force is, but we don't have the New 52 storyline where he goes into it and decides that he's the god of the Speed Force. And
okay, so the really cool thing is that in DC Comics, the Reverse Flash was basically a huge fan of Barry Allen from a few hundred years into the future. And he was obsessed with going back, only to find out Barry Allen died when DC rebooted, whatever. So Barry Allen comes back in a story called Flash Rebirth. And it's basically a story by Jeff Johns that's designed to take every ounce of Barry Allen's origins and his history, things like that, and tie it all together. So it's not confusing. So you don't have to read through 30 years of stories in order to understand the origin of Barry Allen and the whole history of him and the Speed Force and all that stuff. You just read this story called Flash Rebirth.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I would do the very similar thing. I wouldn't do a fresh reboot at this point, but I wouldn't do an origin for Superman. I wouldn't do any origins. I feel like the origins for all these Birthright and all that. I feel like all the origins are solid. Everyone knows the origins for the most part.
Yeah, but the origins set the stage for the films.
Yeah, but the problem is the same thing with the Spider-Man origin.
I mean, it is Superman.
How many times do you really want to see Spider-Man see Uncle Ben get killed for the first 20 minutes of a movie?
Yeah, Uncle Ben dies again.
I mean, Natalie, you don't read Superman at all. Do you know the origin of Superman?
Superman?
Yeah.
He comes from Krypton, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he.
His planet got blown up.
Yes. and Supergirl, and the reason why Supergirl is more powerful than Superman is because she was around the sun longer.
That's the New 52. That is the New 52.
That is true.
Yay.
Actually, yeah, she's more powerful than Superman.
I'm pretty sure they kept that too. I don't think that's changed.
Good job.
Yay!
Yes.
See, but what I'm saying is, even though you had to think about it,
Yes.
you know the story.
Yeah, it is the origin. Okay, I will give you that. It's Superman. I mean, I get that. Okay.
I feel like if you want to do a full retelling of the origin, that comes later down the road.
That is okay. Yeah. Okay. So then, what story do you pick? So you start Superman back from square one.
Right.
All right. What's the first Superman movie in the new DC cinematic universe?
So the first Superman movie that I would do in the DC cinematic universe isn't even like a true traditional Superman movie. Don't take a comic book. Don't take something, because I feel like right now we need something original. The biggest problem that we have right now with the DCEU, okay, not the biggest, there's plenty of other problems, but one of many problems is they keep trying to lift individual plots from a movie, from another story, stuff like that. It's the problem that I feel that Marvel Cinematic Universe has been having recently. Instead of just telling us a story about, Bucky and Iron Man and Captain America, we get a watered down, crappy version of Civil War.
Yeah.
When we could just have Civil War,
Civil War should have been a whole phase.
That's what I'm saying. Like instead of doing a Superman movie that is based around Birthright or Unchained or even the New 52 or even something classic, give us something original, something where he explores his own history, and the main villain he's fighting is Lex Luthor, who's not the Riddler and not Jesse Eisenberg, but a real Lex Luthor. And you get a classic Superman tale, something out of like Christopher Reeve style kind of a thing, because that's what we need. We need a heroic, hopeful Superman. And if we keep going, we don't reboot. Since Justice League, we've got that Superman. So let's do that Superman. And let's just do an original story that maybe Easter eggs other stories, but it doesn't do anything crazy.
Yeah, you get like Easter egg Peace on Earth. It was a story where Superman was trying to provide all resources to these countries that were struggling, and then one country destroyed the shipment he was using, and he realized that you just can't save humanity from itself.
Oh no!
It ends on a pretty hopeless note. So I wouldn't do like that whole story.
Yeah.
Because you want Superman to be hopeful. You don't want to build people up for like how great Superman is, and it's like then just
Right. We got to keep the hopeful Superman. Now with Batman, I would do a very similar thing. I wouldn't take a well-known story for Batman, because Batman, arguably much more recognizable than any other superhero at this point in the world. I mean,
I would argue, right now, I would say he's as popular, if not maybe a little more popular, in terms of just like general audiences than Superman.
Yeah. As I said, people know Batman though, and everyone knows the origin of Batman. Mm-hmm. But what we have in the DCEU is a grizzled Batman with a history that no one knows what the hell happened. I mean, is he just tarnished because of what happened in Batman Forever and the Las Vegas Lights, or did people die in his timeline? We don't know.
Alfred, I just saw Batman Beyond. Or not Batman Beyond, Batman Forever. I just saw Batman Forever, and it's
really bad.
It's really bad.
It's really, really bad.
That would be hilarious. If this whole like Ben Affleck Batman, like if all these experiences stem from just like Batman Forever.
So this is where my idea comes in. So in this story for Batman, I would tell a story that goes through all the ages. I would bring in the character of the Joker, but not in the light of Joker's got an evil scheme. Oh, we're going to stop the evil scheme. I would tell a 20-year spread out story of Batman, maybe not the Joker, but trying to stop a villain. Maybe Hush. Somebody that can...
No, don't do Hush, then Catwoman's going to be involved.
What I'm saying is we reveal the history of this Batman going over 20 years.
It's like a montage film?
Kind of like a montage film of him tapping into these individual little Batman cases. We see the detective Batman solving 20 to 30 minute little stories, 2.5 hour movie, 5 individual little stories, but linking through all of them is this villain, this Hush, this guy that keeps popping up and is causing problems. And so we see Batman Year One style. Batman learning his abilities and this guy messing with him, and he's not solving that mystery, but he saved this woman from a standard criminal.
Yeah.
And then we see a little bit later, and he's messing with maybe the Penguin on like a 15-minute little thing, and we find out the Penguin was being orchestrated by this other villain. And we find this series of events all linked together to be this mastermind at the end of the whole thing, but it's something that Batman the detective has been doing for all these years. And we figure out Batman's history this way and what has been going on.
I mean, you could do that because Batman's enemies are pretty recognizable at this point. The Joker, Riddler, Bane, if you chose to. And like to introduce Hush would actually be kind of cool. It'd be a great way to like cliffhang the movie if you wanted to. I mean, I wouldn't have him defeat Hush at the end of the movie.
No, but maybe he discovers that who it is Hush, and we discover that Hush is the villain. You've seen Hush. He makes himself look like we leave it like that. Oh, the villain behind the whole thing is Hush, and Batman still couldn't stop it. Yeah. But look at what, and maybe that's the point of the movie. Batman feels he's defeated. He feels like I can't beat this guy, and then Alfred or Superman or somebody, hardly Superman because he just met him in this timeline, but Alfred reminds him of those other times, all the people he saved over the years. That little old woman, that family that the Penguin was trying to like rob of their fortune, whatever. He reminds him of all the good he has done, and that the battle for Batman will never end. But there's so much good Batman can do.
I mean, it seems cool. I don't know. It seems too on the nose.
We need that right now, though.
No, but it's like doing the origin story of Superman. I mean, you'd have to leave Earth to find someone who doesn't know the origin story of Superman, except for Natalie. So because of that, like, with Batman, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of a weird scenario. It would definitely take some thinking. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, because the situation with Batman is we have a 20-year-old superhero at this point. He's in the timeline. He's been around forever. Yeah. We have a whole history we don't know exists. Yeah. Wonder Woman, I would do the same thing. I'd keep it the exact same way it is. The next movie, I would just explore this whole God thing they've decided to roll in because Nuva Gigi did a crappy job of it.
No, I mean, it wasn't that bad.
But the Flash, I would not do Flashpoint. I think that's a bad idea.
No, I would do Flash Rebirth.
I would do Flash Rebirth. So we establish he's already exists. We don't need to go over his origin again, but we go on an adventure that introduces a villain for the Flash. Because even though the show is huge, there's still people that don't watch it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, right now, like, you don't know anything about Barry Allen in the cinematic universe. And as awesome as the show is, it is still watched by a very small number of people. Yes. And so if they were to do Flashpoint over the span of 2.5 hours, now picture this, over the span of 2.5 hours, you'd have to give an explanation of who Barry's mom is, how she died. You'd have to give him a motivation for going back and saving her life. You'd have to introduce Reverse Flash and explain him. You'd have to show the alternate universe that's created. Then you'd have to have Barry Allen go back in time, and then you would have to have him let his mom die, and then explain how this ties into the new universe. Right. All over 2.5 hours.
But Flash Rebirth just has Barry Allen coming back. I wouldn't do the he's been gone for 20 years thing.
I would just use it to explain his origin. Yeah. You bring in Eobard Thawne. You don't even have to do other members of the Flash family. No. You don't have to do Wally West. You don't have to do like Jai and all the kids of Wally West or Linda Park, whatever her name is. It's just the origin of Barry Allen. And you use that to introduce
I would say Flash. The origin of Reverse Flash.
That would be kind of
cool. Do his story. Because his story goes over the origin of Barry Allen. So you're getting to retell the important bits, but you're actually introducing a solid villain for the Flash that the general populace will know now. Yeah. And the story of Eobard Thawne does incorporate Barry Allen fighting him and going against him and things like that.
Here's the question. Which story do you use? Do you use the new one or the
I'd go with the new one. Yeah. Because the new one I feel is just more fleshed out than the original.
What's the new one?
So
similar, but yeah.
No, go ahead and tell her. Yeah.
You're ready. Go ahead.
No, okay. So the new one, and correct me if I'm wrong here. The new one, the original origin was he was just obsessed with Barry Allen. He came back in time and found out he was destined to be Barry's greatest enemy. Right. And so it kind of drove him insane. He called himself the Reverse Flash and fulfilled that role. Now in the new one, he was basically he was met by Barry Allen in the future. And then he was tutored by Barry Allen when he basically became, he learned, he developed the powers of the Flash, more or less created them for himself, whatever. Anyway, he became the Flash, more or less. Barry tutored him in how to use his powers and all that kind of good stuff. And then there was a really sentimental moment that was shared between the two of them. And then Barry went back to his time, went back to the present day. Then Eobard Thawne followed him back later on down the line and saw Barry sharing that same moment with Wally West. And so he felt betrayed. Exactly. He was heartbroken. He felt betrayed, and then he just sort of lost it and became a villain. But the new origin is better than the old one because it humanizes Eobard Thawne.
It fleshes everything out. The original is just he goes back in time, and it was like, oh, I went crazy. Plus, the original involves Wally West, and part of the reason he goes crazy is because there is no Barry Allen. It's a lot to put in there.
That's why I didn't. Because if I wanted to explain to you the full origin of the original full origin of Eobard Thawne, I'd have to explain Crisis on Infinite Earths and all that stuff, and that would be a pain in the ass.
And for the Aquaman situation, tell his freaking origin. Because out of all the superheroes, do you know Aquaman's origin?
Aquaman.
Besides what they told me in the Justice League movie, which was supposed to be the king.
Right, exactly. You
That's
don't
exactly
know it,
it.
and no one does. That's the thing.
He's a man between two worlds. He was born on the surface, but he is the son of
The queen.
of the queen of Atlantis.
Yeah, but he didn't know that because she had relations before she got wed with someone from the mainland.
Yeah.
So his father is just a guy. I think he runs the lighthouse.
Yeah, he runs the lighthouse. He runs the lighthouse at Amnesty Bay.
Right. So because it was like a half breed, and because she was being wed to the king, she kept quiet about it.
Yeah.
And sent Aquaman to go live with his father. And he didn't know his origins, and his father always kept him away from the water to ensure that nothing would go wrong. Well,
Yeah.
it's typical superhero fashion. It does.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Just like
But the whole
Amazons.
gist of the Aquaman stories is he's technically the king of Atlantis, but he's considered an outsider by Atlanteans.
Yeah.
So he's basically jostling the idea that not everybody in Atlantis accepts him. And there's even
Right.
small revolutions that take place from time to time that he
What's going on
quells.
right now in the comics?
But
Yeah. And then that's the King of the Dead or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's compiled by the fact that he's torn between his loyalties to the Justice League and his loyalties to Atlantis. But there's always the on-running theme that if it gets to a point where he has to choose one, he'll choose Atlantis over the Justice League.
right,
Yeah.
because Mara seems to think that he needs to.
Mara's
come back.
origin is obviously retconned in the DCU.
Yeah.
She was sent as an assassin to kill him.
Why?
I'll tell you that off the air because we got to move on to your theories on how to do this.
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
That'll take me a little while.
Sorry.
Because her origin, now, just before we move over to that, with how convoluted her origin is, I completely understand why that one got retconned.
Yeah,
for the
I don't even
movies.
remember her origin anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll give you the short form version, okay? Since you're both curious, she's from. So when Atlanteans were growing up, there was a prison world, and there was a group of revolutionaries who were trying to fight against it. They got sent to the prison world. They're the Zebels, I want to say. They sent them away. And they can never leave, except for like every once in 100 years, the portal opens back up to the main world. So what they did was the Zebel King sent his daughter, Mara, through the portal to assassinate the king, get the trident, and open up the doorway to let everyone in. She came through to assassinate Aquaman with him being demonized by her people, but discovered she showed up when he was saving a whale or something like that, like doing something really heroic.
Oh.
And she saw that this wasn't right, and she sent
Oh
out
my
a
God.
torch to him.
That's the most superhero thing I've ever heard. Man, I gotta kill this guy. Excuse me, man. Don't mind me. I'm being
I'm giving you the quick rundown. Anyway, they get to know each other. She decides that she's not going to kill him. She's going to find out if this is right or wrong. And the in the New 52 at least, the origin kind of got retconned to her mother always told her to do what she wanted, don't do what her people wanted. And so she decides I don't want to kill Aquaman and starts to date him and such and such.
I don't want to kill Aquaman. I want to bang him instead. Hey, man, you want to get married?
That'll show you, Mom. No.
Once again, now I see why it was retconned for the movies.
Yeah. I mean, she swooned by his pearly teeth and his flowing golden locks, and he saved a whale, and hawks are landing on his hands. And
Hello, young woman. What are you here for?
I am a hero. Look how attractive I am.
It's pretty impressive.
See my
though.
rippling abs? I'm Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
Jason,
that's-
man,
yeah.
he was a great Aquaman.
So anyway, that's Rob's idea. That's my idea on how I would do it. How would you?
Are you really expecting me to come up with something better than both of you?
Well, no, you're not going to come up with something better. We have different ideas in general.
I have no
Knowing-
idea though. I mean, I told you I would just give us a movie, just a movie.
A movie about what though? What do you want to see?
About the Flash first of all, about Aquaman. Well, Aquaman's coming. About Cyborg, and
Okay, so based on what you saw on The Flash in the Justice League movie,
yes,
like, what do you want to know about him?
I mean they did a pretty good job. They threw the Speed Force in there to explain where he gets his powers from. Because Batman was like, "Where did you get your powers from?" And he said the Speed Force. So that's pretty much explaining everything. Except we don't really know his origin if you don't know the Flash. But
His origin's lame. Lightning strikes him and he gets hit, and he was around chemicals.
yeah, no, I know.
That's his origin.
I know.
Oh
because
my
I've
God, I can move so fast!
seen, because I've seen.
And I can run funny. I can run all funny looking.
He hates Ezra Miller's run.
God, he runs so weird.
Because I've seen the very first Flash show, and I've seen how he gets his powers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like nowadays it would just look cooler to have a Flash movie with all of the crazy.
So you want to have an individual, like Wonder Woman, just
Yeah.
about that hero.
Yeah, because
and then maybe wrap it
I
around.
mean, I was never a fan of Wonder Woman, you know that. But I've watched this movie like 4 times. I don't know why, but I watched it 4
It's a
times
great
because
movie.
it was
It
so
is.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they can do just as good of a job as just giving Cyborg or Flash or Aquaman a good movie, you know, and just
just
Make-
side
make
note about the
people-
Wonder
make
Woman movie.
people
Why
care
I think
about
it's one of the
them.
better ones.
Yeah.
Because they're using it gives women an idol. It gives not an idol. It gives them a role model. It gives little young girls the idea that
it's
they can
not
be a
even
hero.
that. It's just
That's what I was gonna say. It's
the
not just that
music
though.
and no, the music and just the story just made sense and it was just flowing.
It
And
was coherent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was not one dull moment.
Right. Well,
in
and
my
that's what I was
eyes.
gonna say. It's the movie itself's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it's doing amazing things for women in movies, but at the same time, it wasn't made to be like a extreme feminist movie. It was
Yeah.
made to be a solid movie
Yeah.
that happened to be about Wonder Woman, and that's why it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah,
mean-
it felt like a great blend between a great superhero movie and like a traditional film.
Yeah.
Right.
It had a coherent plot. The actors were
Yeah.
solid, so on and so forth. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
And there was a good plot twist at the very end too, because I thought it was going to be over, but it just
Yeah.
kept on going, and
Yeah.
that's what sold it.
I kind of
for
wish
me.
they hadn't killed Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
that one I do. Oh, apparently the next one's in the Cold War. Wonder Woman 2. She does something in the Cold War because they're going to keep that whole time thing going.
Steve
Really?
Trevor comes back. It's
As Franken-Trevor.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, dude, no, dude. If they take the Franken-Castle approach, there's a story where the son of Wolverine mutilates Frank Castle,
What?
and they bring him back by turning him into Frankenstein. He's literally just pieced back together. He's called Franken-Castle. But if they did that with Steve Trevor,
Franken-Trevor?
yeah, they just kind of sew his little pieces back together. Like he's the main enemy, and Wonder Woman has to fight him. Like I mean, it'd be terrible. It would be hilarious.
It would be a hilarious movie, but unintentionally so.
I mean, everybody would be like, what happened? How do you go from Wonder Woman 1 to this? Who thought this was a good idea?
They changed the director, I guess,
man,
or
yeah.
something.
I don't know.
No, don't worry. I wasn't expecting you.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. I
Well, we
wish
were
I had
expecting you
more
to give us a
input, but-
layout. I think that was the whole point. You're the casual
A whole
moviegoer.
layout?
Would you rather see the Marvel Cinematic Universe approach, where every movie was lightly linked together, or would you rather see
no,
the Wonder Woman
definitely.
approach, where they're individual?
No, definitely linked together because I think that's what makes Marvel so much better because everything is just linked together. And in my eyes, it's just it makes you care about all of these characters, you know, because they're all linked together.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So-
feel like there's a whole big world. Like while Captain America,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
while
not
Superman's throwing people through buildings and blowing a metropolis, you're sitting here wondering, where's Batman?
separate. Because, yeah,
While
because it's-
Captain America is, I know where you're getting at.
yeah, because as cool as Wonder Woman was, it's not connected to. Well, it was slightly connected to Justice League because, you know, at the very beginning and end, she talks to Batman.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, but like what I was getting with Captain America was the Winter Soldier thing.
Yeah.
The Hydra thing is the most obvious. Where the hell was everyone else
Dude,
moment?
I talked about that. I was like, when I did the X-Men Phase 2, I was like, what we don't want to do is run into the Captain America Winter Soldier problem, where you're like, hey guys, so the plot of this movie is that S.H.I.E.L.D., the biggest intelligence organization in the world, has been taken over by Hydra. And the only people who can stop it are Captain America and Bucky Barnes. And no one's going to call
Helicarriers are falling out of the sky, and you don't even get a scene of Iron Man being like, "What up?"
Yeah. You got. I mean, these massive things. The world's going to pot. Hydra's like, we're going to shoot everybody in the world who doesn't agree with us. And Captain America's. You don't even have Iron Man called, hey man. So like,
You free?
shit's popping off, man. Like, do you want some help or something? Because I mean, you know. S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsing is kind of a big deal.
I've got Thor and Hulk on like the short dial of my phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you know, and we already know from like the little Thor mini thing that like Iron Man won't answer him anyway. So like, you know, he's trying to get a hold of Iron Man. You know, like he'd be delighted to get a call and say, hey man, like we got to go help out Captain America.
Oh my god, that would be so cool if there was a scene where he would just wait there because he would see everything that's going on the news and he would just look at his phone and he just doesn't get a call. He's like,
Oh,
would be so
or no, he does get a call from Iron Man, and he's like, yes. Hello, this is Thor. Hey, Thor, this is Iron Man. We really need your help, man. All right, man. I'll be right there. I knew they were going to call me. That would be hilarious.
Anyway, that's what we weren't looking for you. Like you realize you're great here because it gives us someone to actually talk to. Because otherwise, it's just me and Rob
See,
going,
no,
no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
now have these images of Spider-Man just also getting a call and he's like, sorry, I've got finals. I can't.
I got finals. I can't make it.
I'm doing the finals.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I did my best. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Nobody's mean to you. We like having here.
I would love to see that. Like Peter gets a call from Iron Man and he puts it on speakerphone. Like he's surrounded by people. He's like, "Hey guys, look, I know I know Tony Stark, man. Check this out." And like Tony Stark calls him up, and he has him on speaker, and everybody's like, "Oh man, cool." And when Tony Stark's like, "Hey man, we really need your help. I know you're Spider-Man." He's like,
Oh shit.
I would love to see that. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
So we're cutting the episode a little bit short today. I know we normally go about 45 minutes, but we're on a bit of a time constraint due to the holidays and everything going on. Yep. So let us know in the comments down below how you would fix DCEU. Would you do it individual movies about the individual characters, Wonder Woman style? Would you link everything together like the MCU? Would you do it like how Rob and I did? Give us your idea of like the first movies for each of the characters, because that's what I feel. I feel at this point, no more Justice League, no more. Let's just Superman movie, Batman movie, Wonder Woman movie, Cyborg movie, Flash movie, Aquaman movie. Do these movies, then let's revisit Justice League in like 2025.
Sal had a genius idea. Sal was like, do Superman, do Batman, keep Wonder Woman 1, and then do Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman 2. Oh no, I'm sorry. Do the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman 1, and then do Trinity.
Yeah.
And then
that would be
Superman,
great.
Yeah, exactly.
And just build on that. Trinity's it's a straight story about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
I was hoping, Trinity.
Yeah, it features
the trio.
the Trinity.
I get it. I get it. Okay.
And then you have like the Dark Trinity, and then you have like the Evil Trinity, and then you have like Justice League Dark Trinity, and then
because they were featured, the three of them, in a Batman v Superman. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I mean,
that's why it was the three of them, because they're the Trinity of DC.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, if you guys want, you can see this every Saturday right here, unless we skip over for a holiday. It's holidays. We may do that. Yeah. Anyway, you can find Rob over at his channel at Comics Explained, or on Twitter at Comics Explained. You can subscribe right here at Comicstorian to get this every week. And Natalie is over on our gaming channel, Eligible Monster, holding up many of the conversations and keeping. It's just them. They just fight about BioShock all the time.
She's holding it down. She's trying to convince me that BioShock 1 is good. Of course, we know it is not.
Anyway, you can find her over on Eligible Monster. You can also find her on Twitter at Zodical Candy, or on our Twitch channel every weekend when we're all playing various games. On that note, we're going to go now, guys. See you later. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Wow.